Whoops, sorry, I shut it off there when I was checking the time. So we are on the fourth section, and we are going to prime ourselves for pleasure and enjoyment. So when we look at anxiety and stress, where did it come from? Why do we have it? Like, what's the point of it? And this comes down to the wiring and development of our brains. And this is good news in the sense that it's really moldable and we can change it. We can create new neural pathways and become conscious of our body sensations and our emotions. Like, we can bring that subconscious into the conscious. The body mind and the heart mind are trying to tell us something, and that's what I was trying to get at with this intuition. So let's start listening. Let's start paying more attention to the body mind. The body mind is taking in a wide array of information constantly, and we know the body mind is as old as a dinosaur, so it doesn't judge external stimulus the way that the prefrontal cortex does. So it takes in things like sights, smells, sounds, temperature, and it just converts it to sensation. That's directly what it does. And some examples of sensations are tingling, tightening, loosening, prickles, heat, cold, sharpness, jolt, fluttering. Your breathing and heartbeat can speed up and go down. You can start to sweat like I am right now. You can get goosebumps. So try to notice these sensations objectively, like you're an outside observer. And we'll get into some exercises at the end of this. So whenever you perceive any kind of danger, whether it's real or imagined, your body mind kicks up this stress response to prepare against a threat. It activates the energy. And this is really important when you're in danger, like real, actual tiger chasing you danger. But when these faulty perceptions are creating a stress reaction, like faulty perceptions being beliefs or like negative anticipations about something happening, or like kind of like doomsday thinking, we want to actually correct that perception. We want to have choice around converting that activating energy into creative energy, basically. We would rather not be at the mercy of a panic attack, right? We want to be able to soothe and protect our nervous system from overreaction when we aren't in real physical danger, right? So that's my kind of caveat. Like, you actually do want to be able to get out of danger when you're in danger, and that's why we have this response. But when we have all these beliefs that, bad things are going to happen to us, and they aren't really based in any imminent real danger, those are the things we want to adjust, because those are taking very valuable energy away from rest and repair and creative energy and sexual energy and all of that. So fear reactions include hyperarousal, which means that the heart rate is increased. There's shallow breathing, constriction, which is muscle tension, dissociation and denial, which distracts you from the pain, helplessness, which makes you freeze instead of taking any action. And these are all adaptive responses, right? So for us and for animals, these reactions get us out of danger. They, particularly if in humans, if they're left unchecked, they can become subconscious reactions. So this is part of being human, to these perceived dangers. The danger we were in no longer has any context in our current moment, right? So it's when our beliefs about the tiger chasing us start to take over, as opposed to the actual tiger chasing us. If these reactions persist, they can turn into panic attacks, phobias, avoidance behaviors, which is super common, addictions, which is like pretty much 100% of people have some kind of addiction, brain fog, relationship problems, depression, all of that. So other symptoms that are a little bit less obvious are things like excessive shyness, diminished emotional reactions, inability to make commitments, chronic fatigue and low energy, immune system problems, thyroid problems, migraines, chronic pain, digestive problems, skin disorders, like you name it, it can lead to any kind of ailment. So that's again why this is root cause analysis. Like, we're getting at the actual cause, no matter what your doctor has told you, like, oh, it's genetics, or oh, it's because of like you have a thyroid issue because your thyroid hormone is low. Like, what's the actual cause? So these symptoms and sensations are delivering messages from the body-mind. So think of them as like internal wake-up calls. They're letting your head-brain know through emotions and sensations that our entire nervous system has been activated by a perception, not by anything that's actually real and going on, but by like the way it's been perceived. So we can feel and connect to our body sensations, and then we know when the stress reaction has been activated. So we know the difference then, and we can learn tools to return it to relaxation, rest, and repair, and bring it back down to homeostasis in a way that feels good. So perceiving faulty dangers keeps the body in an activated stress mode. It's like your body is in neutral and you have your foot pressed hard on the gas. So you're revving up the engine, you're using a bunch of energy, you're wearing out your body really quickly. Your body is sending you a message, like it's alerting you, like the engine light is going on, that something has to be done, so you take your foot off the gas and you take yourself out of fight or flight. And you can actually learn tools and techniques to do this. But the first step is to hear and understand the message, and that's what I want to teach you how to do. So I want to touch here a little bit on pain, because this is the thing that I hear next always in this kind of presentation, is that this argument that I don't want to feel my sensations because I'm in pain. And fair enough, pain sucks. Like being able to dissociate and deny pain is of value, and I get that. Nobody wants to experience pain, it sucks. So both physical and emotional pain, both of those, they're not pleasant. And for those of you who are in chronic pain, I acknowledge that it is not fun, and I don't want to diminish your suffering. I fully acknowledge how badly it sucks. The good news here is that we can identify and change our perceptions. And by noticing all of our body sensations, and by of course noticing our pain, like you could not notice it, but the more likely we are to soothe chronic pain as well. The more we're able to address our emotional pain and our perception, the more we actually are able to address our chronic pain as well. So we know what physical pain feels like. We all know that we want to avoid experiencing physical injury. That's just smart. That's just don't touch the hot stove, right? Avoidance of situations is a good tactic to avoid pain. And by the way that our brain works is we attach a painful sensation to a negative emotion like fear or disgust or like extreme fear, and then we learn to avoid, and that really makes sense, So that's how strongly our emotions are tied into our sensations. And so to uncrosswire this very strong body modality, we have to really do another kind of body hack. So, and that's something that I can teach you. So, the same can go for emotional pain. So, the biggest emotional pain is shame. Shame is the worst type of pain, in my opinion. And we all want to avoid shame at all costs. It sucks. Studies have shown that shame activates the same parts of our brain that are activated in physical pain. So feeling shame is the same as being punched in the gut, basically, right? So what is shame? And again, bringing up Brené Brown, she's so amazing. This is her quote on shame. "A deep sense of love and belonging is an irreducible need of all people. We are biologically, cognitively, physically, and spiritually wired to love, to be loved, and to belong. When those needs are not met, we don't function as we're meant to. We break, we fall apart, we numb, we ache, we hurt others, we get sick." So shame is a super painful fear of social rejection, right? It's actually like in that limbic system. It affects us all a little bit differently, but it's basically the belief that we're inherently bad, and therefore there's the potential that we'll get excluded from the group. And we're social creatures, right? We're human beings in social groups is critical for our survival. So it makes sense that shame and the fear of social rejection would have such a strong impact on us. But our bodies are giving us this message that something dangerous is happening in a social context. So guilt, according again to Brené Brown, is a little bit different than shame. So while shame says that we are bad, like we're inherently bad, guilt says that we've done something bad. And both can be painful experiences, but it's really good to notice the difference between the two in ourselves. It's just a really good thing to observe. So that being said, now let's flip over into pleasure. And now again, in the same way that you can link negative emotions to pain, a lot of people have linked negative emotions to pleasure as well. So we want to uncross all of these wires that have happened so that we can have more facility, more freedom, more understanding of ourselves. But I think we've given pain its due. So let's talk about pleasure for a minute. So now sensations in our body can be very pleasurable. Let's think of an orgasm. It's very pleasurable. We want it. We seek it. If it makes you comfortable, if it brings you social bonding, if it's sexual, if it's non-sexual, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just remember that you're the neutral observer of your own body. So I think it's like a pretty fair assumption to say that one of the goals of this work is to experience more pleasure and less pain in our bodies. So if we're not, but the thing is, like I said, we have a lot of crosswires that link negative emotions with pleasure for whatever reasons in our upbringing. So we might not, and then pain is such an obvious sensation that it's so much easier to pay attention to pain. So what we need to do is really focus on pleasure. So kind of in the same way that in our culture right now we're really focused on the masculine and the feminine's kind of been ignored. It's like we're focusing so much on pain that we forget to focus on pleasure. And I think it's really important to get started in really getting to know pleasure in our own bodies. So to get you started, I've provided you with a list of sensations on the document. So make sure you take a look at it, because we don't have very good, what I've found is most people don't have a very good vocabulary around body sensations. So I've provided a chart so you can actually look at it and start to be able to speak in sensation talk. Because again, we're just out of practice, like we just have never been taught to speak in sensation. So you'll be able to use this chart in some of the journal prompts, so make sure you take a look at it. So some of the examples are like intensity, like sharp or dull. Your muscles can feel achy, crampy, twitchy, electric. Your skin can be prickly, sweaty like me, clammy. Your temperature is a sensation, like hot or cold, constriction or expansion. Your whole body can feel sensation. So those are some examples. All right, so we're getting to the end here. For your baseline self-evaluation, what I want you to do to get the most out of this is color in the area of the chart just to see where you are at your baseline. So as we work through the 4 weeks of this course, you'll be able to see how you're making progress in the different areas. So I think it's a really important this is a masculine tool, but it's a fun one. So you just color in, and I gave you a little example. Make some notes too on things like communication, your self-expression, your body health, your passion, your confidence, your financial health, your sexual health, and your energy. So just color in where you're at this point in time, or even just contemplate it, think about it. And then I want you to work on these journal prompts. So it's up to you. You have a couple of options here. What you can do is you can just write them in your journal and just think about them for yourself. Or you can write them out or talk about them. You don't even have to write them, just like read them out loud to a friend, and then you just go through them and talk about them one by one with a friend. That can be really fun and connecting exercise as well. Or you can write them out and you can send them to me. And if you send them to me, then I'll give you a bit of a response, and I'll take a read through it and give you my feedback on them. If you want somebody to see them that's impartial, but I would recommend going through them with somebody and just kind of going through how this information has made you feel, and these journal prompts will really give you some really strong things to think about and integrate this knowledge into your body and into your heart and into your mind as well. So that is it, and at the end there's also some references and some reading, so I encourage you to take a look at that. And I want to thank you so much for joining me in this course. It is my absolute pleasure to share all of this abundance of knowledge that I have on this topic, on this mind-body connection topic, and then in the weeks that follow. So if you're inspired, if you're called, get in touch with me. There's a link in the email where you can click on it and you can hop on a call with me. And in that call, we'll really discuss what it is, like how your mind-body connection is working for you, how you're connected to your body, how you're disconnected, how that's showing up for your relationships, how that's showing up for your sense of purpose, your sense of self, like really whatever is coming up for you, we can talk about it. And we can talk about how coaching would be either beneficial if you want to work with me, or I can guide you towards something that might be a little bit different for you. So I do encourage you to get in touch with me. Again, I'm like this wealth of knowledge and I want to share it. And I'm in Bali right now and it's been fabulous. So I'm going to go jump in the pool and I will see you next week.